Immortal warriors, epic sword fights, and a legendary line that made movie history, there can only be one. After decades, Highlander is finally returning to the big screen, with none other than Henry Cavill in the leading role. The reboot is adapted by Chad Stahelski, director of the acclaimed John Wick series, so expectations are high. But can Highlander live up to them? In this video, you'll learn everything you need to know about the new film. Highlander tells the story of Connor MacLeod, a Scottish warrior from the 16th century who discovers that he is immortal. But he is not alone. For centuries, so-called immortals have been fighting each other, with swords and according to clear rules. The only way to take their lives is by decapitation. If one immortal falls at the hands of another, the energy of the deceased is transferred to the victor of the battle. They fight for a mysterious power called the prize, which is awarded to the last survivor, because, as the movie says, there can only be one. The original film quickly became a cult classic after being released in theaters in 1986. The plot jumps between historical Scotland and 1980s New York. It combines fantasy and action with an epic story about immortality. The antagonist, the brutal Kurgan, remains one of the most iconic fantasy villains of the 80s. The series comprises a total of 5 films, of which 4 star Christopher Lambert. However, the sequels were generally poorly received. But what will the reboot look like? Will it follow the same plot, or are there plans for deviations? Director Stahelski has already commented on his approach. According to him, the Scottish Highlands and New York are not the only settings planned. The film is set to take place in Hong Kong, among other locations. Compared to the original film, the reboot will also feature more immortals. With additional locations and characters, the aim is to further deepen the world of Highlander. In an interview with The Direct, Stahelski said that he sees great potential for action in Highlander. Connor MacLeod is a character who has trained for over 500 years and has experimented with many different martial arts. That sounds very much like a typical Stahelski film. The action sequences in his John Wick series were already creative and diverse. In Highlander, we can therefore expect John Wick with swords. Nevertheless, Stahelski does not interpret the film as a pure action movie. It's a love story in a way, but not in the way you might think. With John Wick, I learned a lot about how to bend the storytelling a little bit. Connor MacLeod's new look is already known. Henry Cavill shared the first pictures on social media. There we see the new interpretation of MacLeod's coat and his sword, among other things. Above all, we get a good first impression of the mood the film is going for. One thing is certain to many film fans. Henry Cavill's casting is a real statement. Few Hollywood stars are as popular among fans as the former Superman actor. Many also know him as Geralt of Riva from the Netflix series The Witcher, or they remember his iconic appearance in Mission Impossible 6. Now he is following the footsteps of Christopher Lambert by playing Connor MacLeod. Russell Crowe plays his mentor, Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramírez. Ramírez is also an immortal and trains MacLeod in martial arts. In the original, the character was portrayed by James Bond icon Sean Connery. Guardians of the Galaxy star Dave Bautista has been cast as the brutal antagonist Kurgan. The powerful immortal has hunted down many of his own kind over the centuries in order to absorb their power. He will do anything to be the last survivor. In the original, he was played by Clancy Brown. Another antagonist is to be played by Hollywood star Jeremy Irons. His character is the leader of a mysterious order called the Watchers. This order observes the immortals and considers them a danger to humanity. Also, a central role will be played by industry actress Marisa Abela. According to initial information, her character is a sword-fighting teacher. In the past, she apparently had a romantic relationship with Connor MacLeod. Abela's character is therefore a completely new character who did not appear in the original films. Karen Gillan, on the other hand, will be seen as Heather MacLeod. Heather is the mortal wife of Connor MacLeod and was played by Beatty Edney in the 1986 film. With Jimon Hounsou, another Gladiator actor, has been signed up alongside Russell Crowe. The actor is set to appear in Highlander as an immortal African warrior. The script was written by Michael Finch, with whom Stahelski already worked on John Wick 4. As a bonus, Ryan Condal was also involved in the script. Condal is known as the showrunner of the Game of Thrones spin-off House of Dragon. For many, the big question is, will the new Highlander succeed in transporting the cult classic of the 80s into the present day? The choice of director in particular gives cause for great hope. Chad Stahelski has already proven several times that he is one of the most talented action directors of our time. For many years, Stahelski was primarily active in the stunt field. His work on the Matrix films is legendary. He was both Keanu Reeves' stunt double and martial arts coordinator. He made his directorial debut in 2014 with John Wick. He went on to direct all the other films in the popular series. Stahelski's style is characterized by a combination of handmade action, choreographed violence, and aesthetic images. Instead of relying on quick cuts and CGI, the director favors long takes and real stunts. This makes the action seem more intense and immediate than in many other modern action productions. This is precisely where Stahelski's style could blend perfectly with the Highlander concept. After all, intense one-on-one duels are a central element of the saga. If we take John Wick as a benchmark, we can prepare ourselves to get a stylish look and superbly choreographed action sequences. And because Highlander spans different eras, there is also enormous potential for varied set pieces, from historic Scotland to modern metropolises. Another decisive factor is the casting of Henry Cavill in the leading role. He has already proven that he can convincingly portray a taciturn, serious warrior scarred by life. In The Witcher, he played Geralt of Riva, who was at least a somewhat similar type of man. In our opinion, his presence is perfectly suited to the character of Connor MacLeod. One can still be somewhat skeptical about the antagonist. Kurgan was played by Clancy Brown in the original in such an idiosyncratic, eccentric, and threatening way that he still enjoys cult status today. Brown managed to get an astonishing amount out of what was actually a very classic villain role. It remains to be seen how Bautista will interpret the character, while there is the risk of it quickly degenerating into a simplistic villain. Queen's soundtrack is also legendary to this day. It gave the original film a special feeling and thrives on a genuine 80s atmosphere. Queen will also be honored in the new film. Stahelski has already revealed that the old soundtrack will be included in the new film. How exactly is not known yet. The production history of the new Highlander film is quite adventurous. Plans for the reboot have been in the works since 2009. However, it took until 2016 for Stahelski to come on board, and another 5 years for Cavill to be signed as the lead actor. As a result, the film adaptation was stuck in development hell for a long time. But in the course of 2025, significant progress was made. The cast was announced little by little, and production finally got underway. Stahelski said that, if all went well, Highlander could be expected in 2027 or 2028. However, in September 2025, Cavill was injured during preparations for filming. Production was able to resume in early 2026, though. We can therefore only hope that the Highlander reboot will reach us in 2027. The official date has not been announced yet. For us, one thing is certain. The ingredients for a strong reboot are there at least. A talented action director, a charismatic actor in the lead, and material that offers plenty of potential. In the best case scenario, we could be in for a modern fantasy action highlight. But now it's your turn. Will you give the reboot of the cult classic a chance? Are you looking forward to it, or are you more skeptical? Feel free to write your thoughts in the comments. We're excited to hear your views. See you at the cinema when it's time to say once again, there can only be one.